Okay, this is Dr. Blitz on YouTube. Pretty cool guy, actually. I watch him. Whenever I see that he's live, I go over and watch him, and yeah, he's a pretty cool guy. I'm gonna react to one of his videos. I suggest you subscribe to him. That was his name. Okay, let's get one of his videos going.
So evolution has a gap.
So, right. So you're like, there's a gap here, right? How do you go from here to here? War Deadpool, how's it going?
Doing good, buddy. The screen's working. Hey, so what I wanted to bring up to you
before we start, I gotta ask the question: how old do you think the Earth is?
So that's kind of irrelevant for what I'm wanting to talk about.
Okay, but that is the topic of conversation.
That's fine.
It's the topic of the debate.
Because I was going to go into the Southern Pole telescope and things like that, but we can have this conversation if you want.
He wants to come in and talk about something that is not the subject. So he wants to come over and take over the live stream, pretty much. So that's the way it is. That's how he's presenting it. I mean,
you want. So I am one who thinks that the world is only about 7,000 years old. The reason being is because the way I describe it, it's like a painting. So if I was to sit here and draw something, you would sit there and say, oh, that took you, X amount of hours to do. But if you looked into the details of things, like the paintbrush, what type of clay was used, how long that had been around and things like that, you could quickly go into years and hundreds of years and thousands of years. So that's the way that I view it.
paintbrushes.
So the Earth is only 6,500
Paintbrushes, brushes, hundreds of years. I have a little bit of experience when it comes to art and stuff. I don't think a paintbrush lasts 100 years. I don't know. I mean, maybe. Yo, I'm straight up live right now. Search for the oldest paintbrush. Doesn't say. Let's see. Paleolithic. 17,000. Oh, okay. Well, it also depends. I mean, what you consider a paintbrush. That matters. Let's continue.
500 years old, but the stuff the Earth is made from is much older?
Correct.
And so, where did that stuff come from?
Where did that stuff come from?
Yeah.
From God's creation.
And how long has that stuff existed?
I have no idea.
Well, the Earth didn't exist at the time, so other stuff existed before the Earth? Do I need to play that back? Hold on. Hold on, let's... I need to play that back. Hold on, let's play that back. Shit. Forget that's... Oh. Let's continue.
So when you say that like the Earth is only 6,500 years old, you mean so like what was before the Earth? Was it just like a bunch of stuff lying around, or?
I don't know. I mean, you're asking a question to, our scriptures that only have, like talking about the creation of the world within, like 2 pages, or really only one
sure.
page.
So what would you say about like, like there are human things that we have that are older than that, right?
There
like
are
artifacts,
human
artifacts,
that are older than that.
Like human artifacts, yeah.
Yes. Say something.
Like, okay, so that is where I feel that there has been a false doctrine that has been pushed of, like, oh, Aborigines, in Australia were here, 7,000, 9,000 years ago. Yet there's only, a very, very small percentage that is there in Australia. So you're talking about insane.
You can go back 10,000 years, and on the American continent, you can go back 10,000 years, and there would be Aborigines. Yeah.
Mainly incest with a group of,
Well, I'm not talking about the Aborigines. I'm talking about the Yahoo symbols.
Yeah, so I get it. But still, that does not mean that what your interpretation of a symbol or a piece of an artifact is your interpretation of it.
It was,
carbon dating is only good for, like 500 years. After that...
Carbon dating is good for like 50,000 years.
50.
No.
Yeah.
Why do you think that it's only good for 500?
50,000. Absolutely, 50,000 years.
Years?
Because after about 500 years, it's a discrepancy of, very small errors. And the further and further you go back, the more that errors increase.
So how'd you get the 500-year mark?
That's just a number that I'm throwing out, Is so that...
He didn't give... He didn't get those numbers anywhere. 500 years, he just pulled them out of his ass. Is that what he did? That's exactly what he said.
That once it goes into a, X amount of time, it starts to have discrepancies.
But on what grounds do you think that it starts to have discrepancies?
Oh, good grief. So, hold on. Let me pull it up.
Oops. Hold on.
For you.
This guy knows nothing about what he's talking about. He's an idiot. Already, I mean, the ages off.
This is straight from Google's AI. So carbon dating has inherent, and it's not like I, Googled this type of stuff. But anyhow, it says carbon dating has inherent error margins due to factors like variations in the atmospheric carbon-14, contamination, and limited number of samples for older objects, which can result in inaccuracies ranging from a few.
Margin of error is expected. Every measurement ever has a margin of error.
Years to several centuries.
Right.
Yada,
and
yada,
so,
yada.
Right. So suppose that the inaccuracies are as much as several centuries, because, error bars are error bars. If I have something that's carbon dated to 8,500 years ago, even if they were wrong by several centuries, that's still much older than 6,500 years.
I mean, that's again where I'm just going to leave the conversation at is your opinion, and that's what you're holding.
It's not an opinion. You just read it. It's not an opinion. You just read it.
Yeah, I just read that it sits here and says literally that it has inaccuracies.
Yeah, inaccuracies of up to a few centuries, right?
No.
Isn't that what it says?
So it says, which can result in inaccuracies ranging from a few years, to several centuries.
Right. So the inaccuracies can be as big as several centuries, right?
It can be, and it can also be as small as a few years.
Right. So if the inaccuracies can be as big as several centuries, and we have something that is carbon dated to 8,500 years ago, if they were wrong, if there are inaccuracies, those inaccuracies could be as big as several centuries. So maybe it's only 8,000 years old and not 8,500 years old. That's still older than 6,500.
No, because once it starts to go further and further, it grows more and more.
Where does it say that?
That's just in common sense of when you have something that has a probability of a small error that starts with.
Common sense is one of these things that these people are obviously wrong, and they can be proven to be wrong. That's what they like to say. They like to say it's common sense. We just know it. You know what I mean? It's stupid.
Within 3 years of, let's say, just like a 0.001% chance, the more that you go for, 10 years, it increases it to 0.001% chance. And then once you go to 100 years, it's 0.1% chance.
I don't think that's how carbon dating works.
So I'm not saying that's how carbon dating works. I'm saying that's how the error.
I don't think that's not how error propagation works either.
Okay.
Right.
So again, it's your opinion. Just this
isn't an opinion. You're saying that there is some fact about carbon dating that errors accumulate, blah blah blah, and you're just saying that. Do you have anything to back that up? Or
yeah, that's what I just used off of
the text doesn't say that though. That's not what the text says. What you just pulled up. You read that and it didn't say anything at all like what you said.
So what I said was that there is inaccuracies.
Yeah, so there are inaccuracies up to a few hundred years. Yeah. I'm not going
to sit here and go on to how I'm not going to put my faith into something that has an error system in it, especially for something that is, talking about things of 45,000 years ago to.
Everything has an error system. Everything has an error system. I'm gonna say that again. Everything has an error system. Oh, fuck.
To 250 million years ago or longer.
So, look, Wardad, the whole point of doing science and quantifying errors, which is what you're talking about, we're talking about you make a measurement and then there's some errors. Actually, let's just back up. When you're measuring something, when you stand on a scale to measure your weight, it'll say 170 pounds or something, but that has an error of half a pound, right?
Okay.
So anytime you make a measurement, there's always errors built in because no measurements can be 100% precise. There's always like, look at a ruler. Like a ruler, if something falls between two tick marks on a ruler, which one are you going to say that it is? Are you going to say that you're going to say that's one closer to it, but like, it's somewhere between the two, and there's some error. There's some built-in error there. Every part of any measurement is always going to have some error in there. The whole business of science, at least one of the businesses of science, is to